to DC. DC, the home of Chuck Brown. Oh, you don't know the sound? Well, let me break it down. The G-O, the M-A, and B-O. See though, we've been pumping crank since an embryo, really though. It's the city where the people hold the power, and you can see 9 dimes every half an hour. Well, luncheon and Joe is the lingo, and brothers rob, so ain't nobody rocking mink coats. Take you back to the madness had, so how the city renamed Cigarette Shack, so how even the mayor had a running with crack, but we all kept it real and we voted them back. But we got no stars that spit on bars like BET wasn't birthed in our backyard. So our NEG, our essence in our backyard, and junkyard got us all going hard. You know where you're at, the USA Cup. You're taking it slightly, I'm taking it slightly. Then how you gon' act, you gon' be right back. But we gon' be right here, we gon' be right here. We ain't going nowhere. Welcome to DC. I'm from the city to district, I own up to it, but right now I got a real big bone to pick. When this industry gon' let us get some ownership, we gotta take it, huh? Well, we own it then. This ain't a hit and run, no, we're not an accident. More like a hit and hold, sorta like we tackling. And we crank so hard cause we be practicing, and this is just the beginning, Slim. We just scrimmages, so lace up your Nike boots and pass with the Timberlands. When them brothers off the boat like they Gilligan, what a condition that we living in. Got us fighting over land, and they now it's like cowboys and Indians. So football, yup, cowboys and Indians. And politics, yup, cowboys and idiots. But much love the VA and MD. That's why the new DC is the DMV. You know where you're at, the USA Cup. You're taking it slightly, I'm taking it slightly. Then how you gon' act, you gon' be right back. Well, we gon' be right here, we gon' be right here. You know where you're at.
Whoa, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Stubbs Show. I had to bring it in with Go because tonight's show is all about Washington, D.C., and we know that D.C. is known for its go-go music, so I had to open up this show with that. I have a great show lined up for you guys on tonight, but before I get into anything, let me remind you right now to hit the share button. That's right. Hit the share button and also like the show. And then later on within the show, leave your questions and your comments in the comment section so that possibly we can be able to ask your questions to our special guest on today. So we're getting ready to get this show started because I got a great show lined up for you guys on today. And I don't want you to miss out on asking this person all the questions that you need to ask. Remember, we are on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at The Stubbs Show. So let's get this show started right now, and then I'll bring my special guest up in a few. All right, you guys, welcome to another episode of The Stubbs Show. I thank you guys for joining me. Without your support, the show would not be what it is on today, and it would not continue to grow. So I thank you guys for joining me every Monday, now Tuesday, and adding on now Wednesday at 7 p.m. And if you are hitting the show on a replay, you can still hit the share button and comment, and we will be keeping the conversation going. But on tonight's show, we're talking about the Washington, D.C. area. And my special special guest on today is a DC mayoral candidate, and she wants your vote this November. Actually coming up in June. So tonight I'm going to be asking her the questions that the residents want answered. If I don't ask your question, you can put it in the comment section. But here in the Washington, D.C., there are so many concerns that we have as residents, from affordable housing to the youth and these teen takeovers, to the crime rate, the DC police, ICE, and so much more. And we need a new mayor that will fix some of these problems, that will address some of these problems. And I want to make sure that you guys are presented with the right candidates, and those that may not be shown on the other news networks will be shown here on the Stubbs Show. So you guys get ready for tonight's show. But before we bring my guest to the stage, because I see she's in the back waiting to come on, I want to play this quick clip of a few things that's been happening recently within the Washington, D.C. area within 2026. So let's watch this really quick. And then after that, I will be presenting Ms. Ford to the stage. Let's take a look.
Zoe, you know where this is, not too far from the station, 4500 block of Wisconsin Avenue, right in the heart of Tenleytown, right in the heart of rush hour. A lot of people trying to figure out what's going on. The shooting was right behind me in the back of that parking lot right there. We know that one person has been taken from the scene. He was breathing, taken from the hospital. Priority one, according to the fire department, which is at least a serious injury. But again, that victim was conscious and breathing. Here's another scary part about all of this. 10 to 15 male juveniles, according to MPD, last seen running from the scene west towards Wisconsin Avenue, towards River Road. And there is now a lookout for that group of 10 to 15 male juveniles seen running from this shooting.
Yet another young life impacted by gun violence in D.C. Police are investigating two separate shootings in Northwest that left 5 people hurt, including a 5-year-old child.
The timing is hard to ignore, coming right off the heels of the National Youth Violence Prevention Week. And our Jess Arnold, live outside D.C. Police headquarters, with more on both incidents and the push to stop the violence. Jess.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, everyone who is injured in these incidents is expected to survive. One of those victims, though, I need to emphasize, is a 5-year-old boy. Was playing in a courtyard when he was shot. Now, police have said that these two cases are not related, and they haven't released specific suspect information in either case yet. But I want to start here by giving you a look at where the two of these incidents happened here. We have the first involving that child happening along the 400 block of N Street Northwest around 7:10 last night. That is a block from Dunbar High School. Now, the second one happened about 5 minutes later on the 3300 block of Mount Pleasant Street. That's right on a strip with a lot of restaurants. There's also a school near that.
To identify the people involved in an assault in Southeast over the weekend. So come a little closer to your screen if you can. Police tell us this happened on Yards Place just after midnight on Sunday. That's not too far from DC Water's O Street pump station. D.C. police say one person was attacked with pepper spray. Another was stabbed with something. 2 people were hurt. They are recovering. But again, if you can look closely at these pictures and identify who these people are, contact D.C.
The search is underway for people who attacked 2 others in the Navy Yard.
One victim was pepper sprayed. The other was stabbed. Fox 5's Shamari Stone has those surveillance images and the story from Southeast. Show.
Right now we're here on the 1300 block of Yards Place Southeast by Navy Yard, and this is where a lot of people come out. They walk their dogs, they like to exercise. We're about a block away from Nats Park, and this man was out here, and then things started escalating. He was out here with his friend, and we're going to show you what happens next. Let's take a look. Tonight, D.C. police say these are 4 of the 6 suspects captured in surveillance images. Detectives say they beat up 2 people this past Sunday around 1 o'clock in the morning, spraying one of them with pepper spray, stabbing the other person, and then taking off running. D.C. Fire EMS treats one of the guys on the scene, and medics drive the other one who was stabbed to a hospital. Tonight, we've learned they're both going to be okay. But people in the neighborhood tell us they're tired of violence.
So as you can see, DC residents are getting tired. You know, we need, Mayor Bowser is leaving. I won't comment on that, but we need a new mayor that's going to come in and represent us, stand up for us, and be fearless. So let's get ready to introduce my special guest to the stage right now, Ms. Ford. I'm going to be bringing her through. Remember, you guys, leave your comments in the comment section, your questions, and we'll see if we can get through to them on tonight. Let's get ready to bring her to the Stubbs Show. Meet Yaida Ford. Ms. Ford is a respected civil rights attorney, community advocate, small business owner, and candidate for mayor of Washington, D.C. Raised by her parents who taught her the values of hard work, service, and perseverance, Ms. Ford has dedicated her career to fighting for everyday people. As a trial lawyer, she has held powerful institutions accountable, advocated for seniors and working families, and worked to protect the rights of Washington, D.C. residents. Beyond the courtroom, she is also a champion for sustainable communities and food justice, helping families gain access to healthy food and resources that strengthen neighborhoods. Now she's bringing her experience in law, policy, and community advocacy to her campaign for mayor with a vision of creating a city that works for all residents. Please help me to welcome Yaida Ford to the Stubbs Show. Oh, here we go. Wait a minute. Hello, welcome to the Stubbs Show. How are you doing on today?
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's so good to be here, and thanks for having me. Just as minor correction to my pronunciation, so people know, since I'm writing to Yaida Ford. Is Yaida? You pronounce my first name Yaida.
Yaida Ford. Okay, I'm sorry.
Somebody's blowing you up. Somebody's blowing you up right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it to stop. It's my mom, and I wish she stopped calling the phone. Maybe she's watching and she can see this and stop calling. But sorry about that. How's your day going? How are you feeling?
No, listen. I wear 2 hats right now. I mean, Monday we had a protest rally for Deon K, which is one of the police shootings that I don't know if we'll get into it today about that. And then yesterday, another family, a police shooting. I call them police murders because that's certainly what it feels like to the family. Yesterday, I was in federal court in the morning for another family in Ward 4. Their family, their son was shot and killed by MPD officer in Ward 4. And that was in 2022. And we are just now, the judge is now at that place where he has to decide whether to let the case go to trial.
I saw that.
You might as well answer Mama, because Mama's like,
no. What's getting ready to happen is I don't know why she keep calling my phone during this time. I do apologize for this, but I am not answering Mama's call right now. We are talking about Washington, D.C. and your campaign. But yeah, I did share that flyer that I seen about that young man. And I didn't hear about that case until I seen the flyer posted that you would be there for that. And that's a good thing to know that you will be out in the community fighting with and for the families of Washington, D.C., because many times they feel like they don't have the support from our current mayor. So thank you for getting out to do that. So are you ready to get into these questions?
Of course.
That we have so we can move along in this interview.
Absolutely.
And then if anyone have any questions that we have time for, we'll try to get over to those as well. But
and before we get into it, I wanted to thank you again because you acknowledge that some of the forums don't let us all on, and like this is like a 2-person race when it's really not. So I wanted to thank you for giving me an opportunity to come on.
Yeah, and thank you for joining. Yeah, I was, I seen your flyer and the other guest, Dr. Hamilton, that I had on last week, and a few other people. And then when I watched the debate on Fox 5, I was like, well, wait, are there only 3 people running or more? So, I was confused, and I said a lot of people are confused. And
Yeah.
since my last interview, people have told me also thank you for introducing them to the other candidates because they just didn't know. And that's unfortunate. But tonight, they're going to know about you after tonight. we're going to make sure we spread the information. So let's get to these questions. The first question is, you spent your career fighting for people who often feel unheard. What made you decide that now is the time to run for mayor of Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, I kind of had this epiphany. I think it was maybe 3 years ago now, but that success was a two-edged sword, because when you are successful let me say this about civil rights work, it is exceptionally difficult work. It is legally challenging. Because the laws in various jurisdictions are different, but federally, to sue a police officer, there is something called qualified immunity. It's almost like an automatic defense that they get, and a plaintiff has to show that the officer is not entitled to qualified immunity. So that's number one hurdle. So it's legally challenging. It's also been politically challenging for the last probably 15 years. I've been trying civil rights cases since 2018, so I haven't been, so from then to now, I can say it's been a politically challenging environment.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also challenging in terms of resources and having the money that's needed to actually successfully take a case to trial and beyond. And so only 1% to 3% of these cases actually it's 1% of civil rights cases ever see a jury. And so just by me making it into a jury, you're like, the family is like automatically in the elite, because you made it to a jury because it's so hard and there's so many hurdles. And number one of them being financial. So when I realized that there was not enough of me to serve all these people, because I had been successful in trial practice, and not just against DC, but the United States as well. I have trial practice against the United States, and I have been, again, successful in those cases. But not everybody will take those cases on. I started to get a ton of calls, especially around DC public schools and special needs children, because I do have multi-plaintiff litigation against DC public schools right now for the abuse, and I mean physical abuse. People use that word abuse lightly these days, but I'm not talking about verbal bullying. No, this is child coming home with a broken femur. This is a nonverbal autistic child being slapped in his face. This is a little girl with very complex intellectual disabilities being locked in a cabinet.
Wow.
And so on and so forth. And so we're talking about wholesale abuse inside of a system. The mayor runs that system. Since Adrian Fenty, the mayor has had carte blanche control over public schools and public charter schools through what we call through a chancellor.
Okay.
So the chancellor's been around since Adrian Fenty. And our kids have suffered for that. The school board does not have the power that it used to have. Does not have the chancellor. We still have elected school board officials, but they don't have any voice. They have no say. They have nothing. And so one of the things I propose to do is abolish mayoral control of schools. And I propose looking at that because of the fact that now we're at a place where 75% of our kids in the third grade, where they start testing for CAS, 75% of them are not meeting benchmark in math or literacy. 3/4 of our total student population citywide.
They're not even attending school.
Well, the truancy rates, that's another problem. But for those who are attending school, right?
Yeah.
We're 75% there, that they're not meeting benchmark. And that's a crisis. That's like a public health emergency.
Yeah.
And you have to have a leader that looks at, first of all, that knows the data. I know the data because I represent educators and they give me access to it. But you won't, what the statistic I just gave you is not on DCPS's website, because the mayor would never admit to that. I remember digging when the educator gave me the data. It was totally against the rules, not supposed to do it. They handed me the paper, and she was like, Attorney Ford, this is justice. I just feel like
So
this is justice.
would that be your main focus if you become the mayor of Washington, D.C.? Would it be on DCPS or something else?
Well, it couldn't just be on DCPS, of course. I think education overall would be one of the focuses, and because that's tied in with youth and these youth curfews and kids being out of control, and public safety. So there is an intersection between public safety and education. I was watching some of the clips that you put together, as disheartening as it may sound. If we don't seize the failures in the educational system and do some of the things that used to work that we just don't do anymore, we're going to lose all of our kids, and we're going to lose our city, because the president will effectively fully take over and use any excuse.
So do you believe that we should hold the parents accountable?
And let me say, I'm putting out a statement on this now. Actually, here's what I think. Yes, parents, parents should be contacted when their kids are showing up in these neighborhoods to say, look, we're giving you 2 hours to come and get your child. 2 hours. Now, if mom
pick them up,
if his mom is at work or dad is at work, I do not think they should be locked up when they are working, when their child is away, because they may not know
that's true
where their child is. But the first time you bother a working mother or a working father, and she has to leave her job or he has to leave his job and clock out and go get their child, that's going to stomp out some of that behavior right there.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't even be a question.
Hopefully.
And I just don't think that that parents should be, like I said, the working ones should not be locked up. Now, we know that in our community, there are parents who do not care where their kids are.
Yeah.
We know this. We know they may be, or they're friends with their child. And there are values that I think we, as a mayor, I can't legislate morals.
Right.
I cannot do that. I can say, though, I see this problem and this matters to me. It matters to me that 90% of us are raising our children without fathers. It matters to me that the vast majority of the dropouts and the truancy rates that we're seeing are Latino girls who are at home taking care of their siblings and Black boys.
Yeah,
I see that and it matters to me. The community is going to have to step up and address some of these issues. Now, as a mayor, I can say, look, I see this problem, right? And I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not dictating morals to people, but we can't ignore and turn a blind eye to the fact that many of these children that we're seeing that are hanging out, especially the criminal element among them, because most of these kids are not bad kids. There's a criminal element among them that stays out past the curfew until 10, 1 a.m. hanging out. Those are the ones that are living in the margins. Those are the ones who very likely do not have two parents at home. Those are the ones who likely it could be grandma taking care of them. It could be another auntie, somebody else is kind of looking out for them. You know what I mean? And not really parenting in that kind of hard, I won't even say hard, but that old school, like, I need to know where you are. You need to be home by a certain time. You can't be up in this house. Like that kind of just holding the kids accountable. Most of these kids don't come from households like that. And so I think that we need to acknowledge that as a community. That's something that we as a community have to address.
So let me ask, if you were to become the mayor, what specific actions would you take within your first 100 days as the mayor?
So the first thing I would do is implement an education policy council, because teachers don't have a voice in the way our school system is run. So I want to implement that for teachers and paraprofessionals. That's number one. Two, I would look to enforce all the fines and housing code violations against commercial landlords, because the housing crisis, part of the crisis that nobody talks about, is the fact that in DC, we have a very high number of vacancies in certain commercial properties, particularly east of the river. And it's starting to trend even in upper Northwest. But this is where commercial landlords accept vouchers. They charge market rent to the city for these vouchers. They make no repairs in the units. And as the units fall further into disrepair, the landlord kind of takes a step back and doesn't make any more, like repairs or anything, and with the hopes that tenants move out. As the vacancies increase, the tenants and the tenants association are not able to exercise their TOPA rights when the landlord wants to sell that building. So in that, he or she circumvents TOPA. They have very few tenants remaining, and they're able to sell that building off for a profit to whoever without ever giving the tenants the right or the opportunity to purchase it themselves. That's what TOPA does. So this is a scheme that many of the commercial landlords do. They get money from DC. It's called the Housing Production Trust Fund. They get millions of dollars to build these properties.
Mm-hmm.
Like they put a time limit on them. Like, I'll have the voucher folks living here for 5 years.
Yeah.
8 years. And then after that, I'm done.
Yeah. And a lot of people,
they just drop. They don't fix the units anymore, and people just move out.
Yeah.
Because they have mice biting their babies. Or mice in their stoves. You know what I'm saying? And so because we have that high vacancy rate, it drives up the price. Like it means demand is it's tight. There's so high demand and supply is low. But if we would enforce the housing code against these people, demand would not be as tight, especially in buildings where you have 30% to 40% vacancies. And let me just say, some of these people donate. They donate to some of these folks' campaigns. So that's why they're not enforcing housing code against them. We're collecting right now as a city 1% of the fines against commercial landlords. That is a travesty, especially when we need the tax revenue. And, there's always this fear of raising taxes. But if we would collect fines against commercial landlords, we'd have some additional revenue for sure. And we would make sure that tenants have a decent place to live. Some of these kids you see hanging out are in buildings and in homes where there's mold infestation. There are leaks. They don't have hot water. They don't have normal electricity. So that's another issue that intersects, I think, with some of the youth issues that we're seeing right now. So my first 100 days will be a busy 100 days, but we got to get this thing together, and extending the Marion Barry Youth Employment Program, because I think at its peak, we had 10,000 kids in the program. Now we have 791 kids.
I know so many kids will be without a summer job this year, and that is crazy. So
I want to bring that back.
Yeah, I contribute some of it to their behavior, and maybe some employers are fearful to bring the youth in, and what their attitudes and behaviors will be like, and do they really want to work? Is the question. So I understand, and I kind of, side with the youth, like in the family and the youth that are, doing well, and children would participate. But then a lot of them just don't sign up. And like you said, there's a lot of single parent households, and they don't have time to sign their child up like they used to. Things have really changed in Washington, D.C. And
but the program used to be largely, it was more available. We used to have more slots.
Yeah, we did. More participants.
So we've cut the funding. We have cut the funding for that.
Yeah.
I think we'd have the kids. My concern is the literacy. That with some of the jobs, there may be kind of a gap between what the employer needs and then the students that we have, right? So that would be one of my concerns, but it's something we just have to address as a city.
Yeah. Well, we're getting ready to take a quick break here on the Stubbs Show, and we will be right back with our special guest, Ms. Ford. She is a DC mayoral candidate, and she is on Instagram. I will post that because I do have it right here, just in case you guys want to follow her and find out more. And I will also get you her email and contact information if you would like to bring her on your podcast or your talk show, or connect with her or ask her more questions. But we're getting ready to take our quick break here on the Stubbs Show. Remember, don't forget to like, share, and comment, or subscribe if you are on YouTube. But we'll be right back. Don't you guys go anywhere, because I definitely want you to continue this interview with me.
Is it time to get your fluffy, scruffy pet's hair done? Look no further. Pooch Styles Pet Grooming, in operation for 14 years in the Forestville, Maryland area, is ready to serve you. Give us a call at 301-456-7081. 301-456-7081. We're looking forward to servicing you and your furry loved one.
Hello, this is Angel Y, owner of Home Helpers of Waldorf, Maryland. Are you in the Southern Maryland region and in need of non-medical in-home care? Well, maybe we can assist you. Some of the services that we provide are assisting with bathing, medication reminders, companion care, and so much more. Check out our website to see all the wonderful ways that we can assist you at www.homehelpershomecareofwaldorfmaryland.com. We also are providers for our veterans. I look forward to hearing from you.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the Stubbs Show. Remember, if you have a commercial or a brand or an upcoming event that you would like to share with the community or the world, you can just email us at the lofnetwork@gmail.com. We have a question that came up for our special guest on today, and I want to get back into this interview because I want to make sure that you guys are able to hear more about Ms. Ford's campaign and her agenda and her plans and vision for Washington, D.C. to see if she deserves your vote. So we have a question that came in from Dana Tenen, and his question is, how will you utilize your deputy mayor's accountability needed?
So thanks, Dana. The accountability is needed even all the way down to the director level, not just the deputy mayor level. But the current mayor runs the government in clusters. I don't know that I would continue with that model or discontinue with it. So with the cluster model, that you have a deputy mayor for education, a deputy mayor for public safety and justice, and so on. And so they're like mini mayors over the different sectors of DC government. I think one of the things I would like to do, this is part of the first 100 days, but I would like to actually implement a survey for DC residents to evaluate each agency's performance. And then I would like to do that same survey amongst my deputy mayors and the directors and the employees. I want to see the differences between the employee responses as to how well they think their agency runs. I want to get the deputy mayor's opinion on how they view the performance of their agency. Do they feel like they're performing effectively? Set up some clear metrics, and then get the public's response, because the public, basically, we should run the city like a business. The residents are our customers, the taxpayers are customers, and we want our customers to be happy, right? And within reason, for the things that the government can do and improve upon. How can we make our customers happier? And so I think the deputy mayor's roles should be tied to the expectations of our residents, but the reasonable expectations of our residents. Obviously, residents say, "Yeah, I want a pool and a jacuzzi in my 2-foot backyard." We obviously can't do that because that would infringe upon other folks for zoning purposes. But I think deputy mayors should be held accountable to largely to the public's, like the needs of the public and the performance of their employees and the changes that need to be made within each cluster. It's really hard to do small government, and it's even harder because the bigger government gets, the less responsive it is to people. And so I think the deputy mayor should be given a little more authority as far as the performance of directors and the folks underneath the directors. But I would like to hold deputy mayors accountable to at least to the level of service that our agencies are providing our residents.
Good response. Thank you, Dana, for your question and participation in the Stubbs Show. Don't forget to share it. My next question for you is, what would your administration do to address health disparities across the different wards of Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, that's a great question, and especially because I'm the only candidate in this race that actually lives in Ward 8. I have a urban homestead, so I grow my own food, and I have backyard hens, and really have dedicated the last 5 years to holistic living because I live in a food desert. And so I think one of the first things to do is to address the social determinants of health. That's housing. I represent tenants and tenants associations. And when I have a working mom who can't go to work because a pipe burst and she can't bathe her children. Her stove doesn't work, or the leak in the house is so bad that now somebody can get electrocuted because the house is flooding, and all the electric appliances are about to flood out. And that woman is stressed, and I've seen it because I had to address these issues during the snowstorm with several tenants. I saw that even though the landlord put her in a hotel, and I had to fight for that, she was not able to cook for her children, even though she was stabilized. They were eating whatever they were eating daily. It wasn't healthy. And this went on for several weeks, like even into the months, where this woman was eating, had no stove and had to feed her kids, whatever. And that's one of the things that depresses the health of Black women and our children. Also, mold and housing conditions. This is why so many Black children have asthma and breathing conditions. Housing is the crux of the healthcare disparities for our families. The next thing, obviously, is food access, access to healthy food. And sometimes, it's a matter of choice for us. But I think we're still lacking options east of the river. So you compare to Ward 3, they have 13 grocery stores with fresh food, and Ward 7 and 8, between the two of us, between the two wards with 140,000 people, 70,000 in each ward, you have like 6. In one ward, you have like 13. These are the types of disparities that I'm talking about. And then also the trash. And some of these are human behaviors that we as a community have to address. But as mayor, I would like to put more resources in trash cleanup. There's an organization called Ward 8 Woods that's run by the director's first name is Nate. I love the organization because they go into elementary schools and teach our children about why polluting is bad. What it does to like the ozone layer, what it does to fresh air, and what it does to our green spaces. And so trash is another big thing. These are just basic human things. Like, you want your kid to be able to go outside, you want to walk your dog, and you're not walking through trash. I walk through on a daily basis, like clothes being thrown on the street, or just mounds of trash. And you have to come out every week, and somebody has to come and pick that up. And it's heartbreaking.
It is. And DC has a lot of businesses that provide food, especially places like H Street. And you have hundreds of food restaurants on that 6 to 9 block radius. And I don't think that you'll be able to do anything with that, due to the fact that some of those business owners just don't care. Not saying they all don't care, but many of them may not care. But I want to get into my next question quickly, because I don't want to miss out on some of the questions that I want to ask you. My next question is, you have spent years helping seniors avoid foreclosure and displacement. What is your plan to keep longtime DC residents from being pushed out of the city?
I think we have to address property taxes and whether or not we can do a moratorium for our seniors. Because now, when home values go up, that's great. But if you're not going to sell, you're staying in place, your taxes will go up as well. And so I think I want to address that, and whether or not we could do that moratorium for our seniors who qualify for aging in place, and the seniors who qualify for property tax moratorium. I think we just have to answer the hard question and do the hard math and see if we can find the money to support our seniors, because a lot of them are living by themselves in a house that they bought 40 years ago, that they bought at a fraction of what it's worth now, and they're forced to pay property taxes on that. So I think we need to look at that, and then as the AMI goes up in the area median income, and the taxes go up for that, the value of the homes goes up, and the taxes commensurate with that. I think we need to look at stabilizing some type of stabilization tax rate that helps to keep our seniors in place so that they're not in foreclosure. Because when I get those calls, that's another two-edged sword. I can't represent the number of everybody in foreclosure action. And by the time I've been able to save a couple homes. Okay, I've been able to save a few folks. But sometimes by the time they get to me, the house has been sold. And I have only been able to save a house one time that was sold. and I had to fight, and we fought, and we got that house back. But the family, the children of the parents were able to come together and buy the house out of, redeem it from foreclosure. They had to buy it out. But they came together to do that. But the judge wasn't even going to let them do that. We had to fight. And so that was a valiant, and I thought it was over. I said, Lord, I don't know, after all of this, I think, that they were late getting to me.
Yeah, many residents don't know what to do.
A miracle happened. It turned around,
Yeah. Many seniors don't know what to do. They're not properly educated on what to do. They don't have the family support.
Let me say this. I think Office of Aging should be made a little bit more robust. I'm just kind of tiptoeing into that space as a candidate. I have a friend who runs a senior wellness center, a senior village. They call them villages. And I was talking to her, and I'm like, Office of Aging, sometimes you can't even get somebody to answer the phone over there. And that falls into my customer service. Like, we got to do better at this, because seniors should be able to go to the Office of Aging, and it's like a one-stop shop. Tell me where my local village is, because they get buddies at a village. Tell me where the wellness center is, because they get the activities at the wellness center. Tell me how I can get into the program that they get their homes renovated with, you can get extra handles on your bathtub. You can get a better toilet installed so you can get up and stand up better. Like, all this stuff they get for free. But they don't know about this, but they have to go so many different places. And we're a lot better than Maryland. I just think that our Office of Aging needs a little bit more support, and needs to provide more robust services for our seniors, so that when they call, they know that the Office of Aging will give them everything they need.
Yeah, and a lot of those Office of Aging centers have seniors working at the front desk, so maybe they need to employ some of.
We need some young people.
Yeah, to maybe assist them.
And work, because the youth are good with technology. I don't ever want to see a senior standing in line for rental assistance. I think that was a huge failure on the part of the current administration to have. And I'm not here to criticize, but it is what it is. To see seniors standing in line for rental assistance for 8 hours, only to be told you got to come back because the lines are too long. I think if you can get a crypto account digitally, then you should be able to get and apply for your rental assistance digitally. If you're a senior who needs to come in, we need to provide that assistance. But for everybody else who can apply digital, they stopped the digital stuff because they said, well, it's fraud, so we're just going to make everybody stand outside. No, then you need to make it fraud proof, just like you do with crypto. Like, put your face in and do the digital facial technology. I mean, that's something that's within our power to do, so that we don't have these public relations disasters where you got hundreds of people standing in the line and News 4 comes out talking about how heartless the mayor is.
Yeah. But we all know that the mayor can't do everything, but we want to make sure that the next mayor that the residents of Washington, D.C. elect will have their thoughts in mind and get out there and actually start implementing some things that the residents want, more than what their agenda may be or their administration. And I think that a lot of DC residents are just tired, and especially in Ward 7 and 8, where there's many disparities. We have the business owners over there who are complaining. We have the residents who are complaining. It is, like you said, the food disparities over there, the food deserts over there. Every time you turn around, there's something getting ready or closing over there. They're getting not only bad food, and you spoke on the mold in their homes, but they don't have resources for them. So my next question to you is, what is one thing about DC that keeps you up at night, that really bothers you, that you really want to fix? Like, tell us what it is that you want to implement within your administration that's different than what the other candidates are talking about.
Yeah, the number of single mothers.
Okay, and what do you mean by that? Explain that.
So in Ward 7, I live east of the river, and I'm the only one who does, like I said. So I see it every day. So it's 90%. It's actually more than that. It might be 95% of our homes are run by single moms, and they bear the brunt of all of the pressures of raising children, working, trying to keep your kids safe, trying to, the schoolwork, all of that, and it's taking a toll. Our communities are very lopsided. Our educational environments are also very lopsided. We've lost a lot of male educators that we desperately need in our schools, because when we have more male educators in our schools, violence in schools goes down. And I know about the statistics and the data because I've had to litigate to get access to the data about violence in schools. It's very horrific. And mothers feel like when they send their kids to school, they don't know what they can't trust. We just had the sexual assault at Kelly Miller, which you may know about. That was I think that was a Ward 7 family. And the child with special needs. Another special needs abuse case, right? And so it often happens to kids that come from vulnerable populations. They're in vulnerable places. The schools do not have proper staffing, and they come from a vulnerable household where there's only one parent who is stretched thin because of all of the things that she has to do. And so that is something that keeps me up at night because I don't know, like you said, the mayor can't do everything. And I pray about how I can wrap my mind and my hands around that problem as an elected official.
We have Jamal Khalid with a question. He said, you speak of Ward 8 Woods, which is a good organization. What have you done as far as collaboration with them when it comes to our youth in the schools?
I actually just called Nate, the director, maybe a month or so ago. I'm just now coming into the knowledge of them. So as a trial lawyer, my work doesn't necessarily intersect with Ward 8 Woods, but as somebody as a daughter of a forester, and my father was one of the first Black men to be a soil scientist at U.S. Department of Agriculture. I love the woods. I love the mountains. I love water. I love hiking. So I love that mission. And so my reason for connecting with Nate was to say, look, I want to be more involved, but also to spread not just awareness about Ward 8 Woods, but I think the mayor should be directly connected with the nonprofits that are actually going in and educating our children about why clean environments are important, why we want clean parks. This is one of the social determinants of health. This is one of the health disparity issues. And I think Ward 8 Woods addresses that directly through education. So I think the mayor should have a relationship with them.
Okay, and we have another question from Dana again, and that is, what are your plans to bridge the gap between the law enforcement and the community?
Yeah, so I've been in touch with the Community Engagement Office of MPD. Again, another underutilized portion of the MPD. But I think to answer the first part of the question, how will I invest in the development of youth? It was obviously the expansion of the Marion Berry program. And I don't want to say expansion, the re-establishment, if you will, because that program was strong. It's just been, the funding's just not there. So I'd like to reallocate dollars towards that to invest in our youth, because a lot of them need the skill set to work. They want to work, but not all of them have the skill set to work. And because I've employed youth throughout my entire career at a law firm, I understand that sometimes for them to even come to work on time, that is a mindset that they do not have. So they don't understand the need to show up on time to a place or be punctual, especially if they weren't raised with that or their parents didn't show them that. So there's a lot of opportunity to train our youth on how to be a part of a strong workforce so that they can compete. And we want to kind of make them AI proof. The other thing I want to do is start a school to government pipeline where it's like a jobs guarantee, where after you graduate from DC public schools or public charter, if you want to work for DC government, there's an opportunity. DC government is not the highest paid employer in the world. We know that, but it's an opportunity for them to become civically engaged in their city, have a job that they're proud of, make a decent income, rebuild up that Black working class and middle class. Like that's what Mr. Berry did. A lot of people had DC government jobs to become part of a Black middle class. Want to make that opportunity a lot more clear in that path, a lot more clear for some of our kids. As far as law enforcement in the community, we have a long way to go with that. First, I would get a new chief. I just don't think the current chief, let me just say this. I've met him. I have sat down with him. I've been in working groups with him. I think Chief Carroll is a very nice man. I do not think, though, that he has the temperament or the personality to address the divisiveness in the community. I just don't think he sees himself as that kind of actor. I think he really does see himself as an interim chief. So the heat is on to find a chief of police, kind of like Robert Conti, who's more like sees himself as a leader and a member of the community, and as a chief he's a chief of police, but he's still one of us. And so I want somebody who's a father, somebody who lives in the district, somebody who's raised children in an urban environment, who knows what parents are going through. Somebody who's compassionate, but at the same time, somebody who still understands law and order. We just can't have kids running around without law and order. So that's the type of person I would look for in who could kind of understand my message about the need to do more community engagement. I sue the police, so I know where the underbelly is. And so,
You say you sue the police?
I do. I mean, that's
Okay.
the Deion K case. That's Kevin Sherd. That's these cases are police murders. And so the flip side of that, though, is to engage them. Most of our officers are good. I only sue the bad ones. I don't sue the good ones. Most of our officers are good. They want to go home to their wives and their children every day, or their husbands every day. The bad ones are the ones that we got to deal with. But as far as community engagement, there's a perception right now because of the federal occupation that MPD's kind of in cahoots with Donald Trump and the feds. That is actually not the case. A lot of them do not like what's going on, but they can't say anything about it. So we just need a mayor that understands that. I hope I answered her question.
Yeah. Dana, if you have another question, you could put it in. Remember, you guys, you can comment in the comment section if you have questions for Ms. Ford that you would like to ask before we end our interview. We're getting ready to take another quick break, and then we're going to be right back here on the Stubbs Show. I thank you guys for your support. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, you can comment and we'll see it. So go ahead. This is the perfect time to put your comments in that section so that we'll be able to ask them before we end the interview on today. And we're coming around to our ending time. So get your questions in there immediately.
Saturday, June 6th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Her Space located in Iverson Mall. Poppin' Chick Movement will be hosting their summer free clothes drive. Yes, you heard right, completely free. There will be women and kids clothes in all different sizes, and shoes and accessories as well. All you have to do is click the link in our bio to register. And if you have any summer clothes, shoes, or accessories that you would like to donate, text us at 202-780-8824. So tell a friend to tell a friend. And if you attended this event before, you know that this is an event that you don't want to miss. See you there.
Hello, this is PW Wedding Officiant. Let's make it official. Contact us today. Contact us today.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the Stubbs Show. I hope you enjoyed that quick break. Oh my God, I done brought that up, huh? My special guest. I wanted to show you this before I bring her back to the stage, which it popped up. I wanted to tell you guys about our next show coming up on next week, and make sure you guys set your calendars for that. But it's not coming up for me. But on June 7th, my special guest will be coming on to talk to you about how to build those Fortune 500 companies. They have been advisors for Walmart, Meta, and other major companies. So you don't want to miss out on this if you are a business owner. But let's get ready to continue our discussion with Ms. Ford, who's a DC mayoral candidate running in the candidacy for 2026. And she wants your vote. We're talking about her agenda, her campaign, and how she feels about certain things and questions that you guys have as residents of Washington, D.C. So my next question is, because we have talked about public safety, affordable housing, you mentioned things about school and economic development. My question is, if the city had an extra $100 million, would you invest it in public safety, affordable housing, schools, or economic development, and why? And we're talking about $100 million of.
I might spread that. I might spread that all the way around. I think where we're underinvested. I mean, because schools, frankly, the mayor's current budget just increased the per pupil spending. But I think where we're underinvested is in jobs and workforce development for our young people. And so I would say jobs, even though I don't know if that squarely falls within a category, it may somewhat within schools. But we're definitely underinvested there. So I would take some of the money there and put it towards workforce development for our kids. I would also add more dollars to reading. We need reading specialists. Mississippi's done it and it's working because Mississippi is at the bottom of almost every metric. So is Louisiana. And they brought in reading specialists and it worked. And we used to do it, but we stopped. So I would definitely invest some dollars there, especially in our schools in Ward 7 and 8, because that's where the disparities are the highest. Economic development for small businesses and for women-owned businesses for sure. I'm a woman-owned business and I know how hard it is. And everybody doesn't get a fair shot at some of the grant money and some of the stuff that comes out. You got to be friends with the mayor, straight up. You know what I mean? You got to have access to the grant. It's crazy. And I know this
it
for
is.
a fact. I know this for a fact. I won't say how I know all the
we do have our gatekeepers of the city.
You gotta kiss the
you
ring
have
to
that
get money.
relationship.
And it's not really fair because then you're not, the competition isn't legit.
Would you be that way?
What?
Where you only give the grants to your certain people, or they have to do certain things, or as you say, kiss your butt to get certain grants in the city.
Kiss the ring. I'll say it like this: if that's how you operate, at least make sure your people are actually doing the work. If they're not, then you have this. This is why the whole bribery stuff doesn't. It's wicked because. If somebody is like, hey, I'll donate to your campaign if you can give me a contract. The reason why I can't do that is because if the person next to you is better than you, then I'm doing a disservice to my people. That's number one. Number two, that's bribery. That's federal charge. We see people going up against that right now. We see politicians dealing with that. So it's not worth it to me to risk a bad reputation because somebody said, I donated to your campaign. Now, if you have been a supporter of a candidate, I don't think it's wrong for the candidate to want to look out for you if you can do the job or do the work. But it's definitely wrong to hide opportunities so that nobody else applies, so that your folk can get the money, especially when people do it much better than your folk.
But Dana has come in with another question. I have his question and then one more. We're going to go ahead and end the show for today. And he's been firing them up. I'm telling you guys, go follow Dana. He's running for a seat over in Virginia. But he said, you haven't talked about other races. How do you win, or I guess, how do you plan to win the vote of the other races living in Washington?
Is he saying race as in
races in like
groups, or races as in political races?
No, as in like white people, black people, the Mexicans, the
I mean that's
even if we go into religion, Muslims, Christians, how do you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why he's saying I haven't talked about other races. I don't know what if our questions were all focused on Ward 7 and 8 or whatever, but 7 and 8 have increasingly white populations, in case he doesn't know that. A lot of our residents there now are Caucasian, which honestly is probably why we're getting some more attention, to be frank. If I'm just being honest, Anacostia, the cost of a house in Anacostia is now 7 figures, and a lot of our residents are white, and I think that's why they're getting now all of a sudden people are concerned about what happens in Anacostia, if I may be honest and candid about that. So I think what matters to white people is not any different than what matters to black people. They want their kids to go to good schools. So do we. And the fact is, to get a decent school, a lot of people will move towards 2 and 3 if they can afford it, because we don't have that in 7 and 8. And so they want good schools just like we do. They want clean streets just like we do. It's not about pitting one race's desires against another. They want public safety just like they don't want the kids out in Navy Yard, just like we don't want them in Fort Stanton. So this is not, we all want the same things here. So I don't want to get into a divisive message about what's white, what do the white people want versus what do the black people. Everybody right now in 2026, we want the same things. We want affordability and we want livability.
DC is made up of many cultures, and I think one thing I would say that I noticed that you mentioned when you brought up like one of your biggest agendas and things that you will fight for are the single moms and the single parent households, and I'm not sure that other cultures or races would really make that a priority for them, because you do have some single moms who make good money, they make those six figures. So the DC residents are looking at like the seniors having affordable housing, and them having affordable housing, the teen takeovers, the crime, the gun violence, ICE. That's why I brought up, I think that's what he meant when he said the different races, because although we talk about Ward 7, 8, and everybody talks about building Ward 7 and 8 up, if they do it or not is another thing. But I think that if we make a priority the single moms, I'm not sure how other races would feel about that, because they'll be like,
here's why I think it touches on other races, if I may make this point.
Okay.
And Dana can follow up and DM me, Dana, and we can continue talking about it. We run out of time on the show.
Yeah.
But I think even with a single mom that makes six figures, she still is a single mom. She still, her kid might be at Navy Yard acting a fool, and she doesn't know that because she's busy working. She also has to deal with whatever the healthcare disparities are, being single and then having a child and raising that child by herself. She's dealing with the stresses of life by herself. Also, single people care about public safety just like an educated, a married person would. But I think that if we largely, I don't think we can deny that the kids who are hanging out in these different neighborhoods where white folks live or upper class people live come from single parent households. I don't think that's a far gone conclusion. So I think that's why the single parent issue and the supports that they need would matter, especially if those are the kids that we're seeing in parts of the city where people don't really want to see them. And I think part of that is unfair. I think part of that is, these kids want to hang out in nice neighborhoods and where there's no trash and where there's a Chipotle, where they don't have that in their neighborhood, but they need to do it in a lawful manner. I don't want to see kids running through a Chipotle, picking up chairs and tables and beating each other. I can tell you those kids do not come from typically a two-parent household. So that's why I think it does matter.
I don't know. Them, let me tell you. I'll leave that alone.
I said typically.
Yeah, you're right.
I said typically.
You're right. You're right. You're
there
right.
Are those,
you're right.
We know
But then we also have the families up in Columbia Heights who are dealing with ICE and things of that sort. So we, DC is just made up of a combination of people who, everybody has a complaint. And if you become the mayor, I know you can't fix everything. No one can fix everything. So you can only do the best that you can. And I thank you for joining us here on the Stubbs Show to answer our questions. And Dana, she said you're going to have to DM her. I cannot
DM me, Dana.
DM. I will. Do you want to go ahead and give the people your contact?
Yeah, sure. Please, on Instagram, you can hit me up at Yaida for DC. That's Yaida FOR. DC, and you could also, for my attorney page, I'm at Yaida Ford, and you can DM me in either place. Me or one of my team members will get back to you.
And let me say that I love Yaida. I love Yaida. I'm telling you, thank you for correcting me on a pronunciation, because that is way better than what I was coming up with. I love Yaida, but I wanted to be respectful and call you Miss Ford. But I thank you for joining us here on the Stubbs Show and introducing your campaign and your agendas for Washington, D.C. to us. And we wish you good luck. My final question for you before we let you go is, what is one decision made by the current administration that you would have handled differently?
I definitely would. I think the cooperation with ICE and the federal agencies and the way it was done, it was not done in transparency. I would not have done that. And now that we're seeing fatalities from federal agents in DC and nobody knows who to sue, nobody can, I'm a trial lawyer, so I think about suing the people and trying to bring civil redress to the people who've lost because of police violence. My DNA, I'm not even built to keep those things secret, to cooperate with when there is wrongdoing. So I wouldn't have done that.
All right. Well, we thank you for joining. Is there anything else that you want the people to know? Do you have any upcoming events? Something that that you want the Washington, D.C. residents to know about? Go ahead and fill us in really quick.
Listen, everybody, early voting starts June 8th. And I am writing in this primary election. So for the purposes of the DC primary, we've got ranked choice voting, and I may write in. So write me in. There's that line that says write in candidate, and you will put Yaida Ford. Make sure you spell it right, Yaida. FORD. My commercials are on YouTube. You can also sign up for my YouTube channel and find out more about me on my website at Yaida, the number 4, DC.com. But make sure you write me in and rank me number uno.
All right, you guys, I thank you for joining us. We're getting ready to take a quick break, and we will be right back here on the Stubbs Show. Remember, you can subscribe to our YouTube page. That's what I really want you to do. Like, you may like the page on Facebook, but I really want you to subscribe to you may like us on Facebook and Instagram. I really want you to subscribe to the YouTube page because we are building our subscribers on there. But we're getting ready to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and end the show here on the Stubbs Show. Thank my special guest, Miss Yaida, for joining me on today. I just love that name, Yaida. So anybody pregnant out there, we just gave you a name that you can name
Yes.
if you have a daughter in there. So yeah, that's a name for you. Somebody like that comment. You guys like the name too? All right, you guys.
Yes, and me, she was born in the image of her mother. So if you want your baby to look like you, name her Yaida.
Yes, there you go, you guys. There's a meaning for it. All right, we're getting ready to take a quick break, and we'll be right back here on the Stubbs Show. Remember, if you'd like to be a guest, just shoot us an email at thelofnetwork@gmail.com.
Hello, this is Angel Y, owner of Home Helpers of Waldorf, Maryland. Are you in the Southern Maryland region and in need of non-medical in-home care? Well, maybe we can assist you. Some of the services that we provide are assisting with bathing, medication reminders, companion care, and so much more. Check out our website to see all the wonderful ways that we can assist you at www.homehelpershomecareofwaldorfmaryland.com. We also are providers for our veterans. I look forward to hearing from you.
All right, you guys, I want to tell you about next week, June 8th at 7 p.m. I will be having my special guest on to talk to you about Speak Up, how to properly represent your business. That's when you present yourself, how to sell yourself, how to monetize. So if you are a business owner and you are looking to grow your brand or your business, next Monday is the show for you. So you guys make sure you show up live and send your questions in. If you want to send them in advance, however you want to do it, show up for the live segment and learn something new. I thank you guys for joining me for another episode with my special guest, Miss Yaida Ford, who is running for DC mayoral position. We all know that Mayor Bowser, say that she's not running again. She doesn't want that position again. You guys have drove that woman crazy. You know, I know that we blame her for everything, but there are just some things that a human being can't do. And sometimes you just don't have enough time or there's borders or things that you can't do, things that are blocking and stopping her. So I don't know what's on her agenda next. And if she's going to be a governor or a mayor somewhere else, but she's done with DC. And now you guys need to vote a new sheriff in town. So the city is looking for who's going to be next. Last week I had Dr. Hamilton on. This week I had Ms. Ford, who you don't know who's going to be coming on next week. But Monday, I'm helping you to grow your business. So make sure you guys log on for that show. Remember, if you would like to become a guest on the show, you can easily just shoot us an email. I want to put that up there at the lofnetwork@gmail.com. I would love to connect with you guys. I'm looking for authors. I'm looking for music to play on the show to close out the show. And I am looking for therapists, grief counselors, motivational speakers. If you have a story or testimony to share, churches don't share testimonies no more, but I do. So you can bring it on to the Stubbs Show. But we're getting ready to close the show with our video for today. This is coming from One featuring Show Ice James. And the name of this song is The One by One. So you guys make sure you show him some support. I wanted to play his music because he's out of the Virginia area, Richmond, Virginia. I know you guys hate when we say the DMV area, but he's from the DMV area, which includes Virginia. So let's see if we can get this music up on the show. Why is it not here? Let's see. Oh, no. I want to play it. I want to make sure I play his song. And it's not coming up for me, you guys. Oh, no. All right. Well, here's something else happening in D.C., in the Maryland
Saturday,
area.
June 6th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Her Space located in Iverson Mall. Pop and Chick Movement will be hosting their summer free clothes drive. Yes, you heard right, completely free. There will be women and kids clothes in all different sizes and shoes and accessories as well. All you have to do is click the link in our bio to register. And if you have any summer clothes, shoes, or accessories that you would like to donate, text us at 202-780-8824. So tell a friend to tell a friend. And if you attended this event before, you know that this is an event that you don't want to miss. See you there.
Is it time to get your fluffy, scruffy pet's hair done? Look no further. Pooch Styles Pet Grooming, in operation for 14 years in the Forestville, Maryland area, is ready to serve you. Give us a call at 301-456-7081. 301-456-7081. We're looking forward to servicing you and your furry loved one.
Yeah, I had to show them how to get it. Now they in their feelings. We projected past $1 billion. Now we don't see no limits. We ain't got no ceilings. We ain't got no ceilings. No, we standing on business. Standing on business. I ain't accepting no breadcrumbs. I ain't no birds. You dumb. Taking challenges as they come. Standing on 10. I won't ever run. I won't ever fold. Checking off goals like an inspector. See through the matrix. I'm a projector. Enemies vanish. Playing around with that holy protection. I'm an angel. Sent here to create heaven on earth. Going through changes. I'm up in rank for whatever it's worth. Rocking these stages. Alchemists raising the vibe. Life path 9. Died 100 times just to see this life. Know they see the signs. Oh no. I had to show them how to get it. Yeah. Shout out to KB, she my witness. Yeah. They tried to turn me to the villain. But I pray for forgiveness and got some healing. I had to show them how to get it. Now they in their feelings. We projected past $1 billion. Now we don't see no limits. We ain't got no ceilings. We ain't got no ceilings. Yeah, we standing on business. Yeah, we standing on business. I had to, hey, yeah. I had to, hey.
Thank you for that quick break. Sorry about that. I will have the video on next week. But remember, you guys, Yaida Ford, she's a DC mayoral candidate. Make sure you guys look her up, check her out on Instagram at Yaida for DC Mayor. This your girl Stubbs. I'm getting ready to go. I'll see you guys next Monday as I help you to grow and build your business. It's time to scale up in 2026. We ain't going down, we going up. All right, you guys, I'll see you next week.